Hello and welcome to Exposé podcast. In today's show, we are meeting some of the participants of Exposé documentary series, Marisa Rico. She's an author, entrepreneur, and a speaker in Exposé documentary, and Crystal Behe, who is the co-host of Exposé live event. We are going to also talk with audience. We're going to do some live interaction and listen to other people's stories of surviving and talking specifically about 5 stages of grooming, which is targeting, gaining trust and control, filling up a need, abuse starts, and the last stage of grooming, maintaining abuse. Tune in and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can get notified about upcoming documentary series. Thank you and enjoy.
Welcome to Exposé audio events where we are talking about the taboo subjects because we want to make them non-taboo. So can we give it a couple minutes just to get people coming in? Want to welcome Alexis and Derek, Rashinda. Thank you, Vinoy. Welcome, Nani, my love. I appreciate you raising your hand, sweetheart, but we are going to go over the topic first and everything. We will be asking for you guys to raise your hands later, but just not quite yet. This isn't my typical room, sweetheart. I know how you know how I run mine normally, but this one's more of a information and then share. Okay, sweetie? But thank you for your support. So, today's topic is going to be about grooming. And what we mean by grooming is how people get in, how the abusers get into your head and they condition you to, that you can't reach out for help because they're going to retaliate in some way. You can't find any better. You're broken. Insert mental conditioning here to make you stay. So, and I want to welcome my beautiful sister Cherry as well. Now I'm going to hand over the mic to our beautiful host and my sister, and who gave me my voice originally, Miss Anastasia. So,
Thank you, Crystal, for the introduction, and thank you all for joining. Thank you, Marisa. Marisa is our guest speaker from New Mexico, a domestic violence advocate, mother of 5 children, if I remember. We met 2 years ago, actually, in person and did interview for Exposé. And, and we have been sisters since then. She done amazing things, wrote a bestseller book, and this is her first LinkedIn Live, so give an applause for Marisa, because this is, you only get one time, the first time, I mean.
Yeah, I do want to let everybody know we do have the disclaimer that we are recording this so that we can take notes and also use parts of the shares and things like that on our podcast and things like that. So I just wanted to let you guys know, if you guys do come on stage and don't want any of your shares used, please send me a private message and I will make sure that we edit yours out. I just want to put that out there so people know that we are recording and will be using this on the Exposé, the audio pieces on the website and such.
Yes, thank you for the disclaimer, Crystal. Appreciate that. Hello, Christine. Christine is another participant of Exposé, and she is a coach herself, therapist. Jamie, thank you for coming. Caroline, Cheryl, glad you are here. Alexandra, Brian, Matthew, Alexis, Derek, Rashida. I'm so glad you joined. welcome everyone. And as people are coming still to the room, you mentioned, Crystal, you said a little definition of what's grooming is. Like if somebody gets to your head um, and stays there for a while, and even when they leave, you still have their voice because it's all about that control, which we unfortunately internalize. So grooming is a manipulative tactic used to gain the control. And there are actually 5 stages of grooming. And today we are going to discuss all of them. But before we get to those 5 stages, I would like to give a few statistics uh, based on National Domestic Violence Hotline. Over 1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men experience severe, intimidate partner violence, sexual violence, and as a result, also post-traumatic stress disorder. Um, so I would like to bring on the stage Marisa. If you could say hello and just let us hear your beautiful voice and maybe share a little bit about how young you were when you first met your husband, and um, if you're looking back on that relationship now, if you see any of tactics of control and manipulation your ex-partner might use in that dynamic.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Anastasia, for inviting me here today and um, letting me be part of Exposé. I remember when you first reached out to me when I first started my project with the book. You asked me and if you were looking, if I could share my story about my toxic relationship and stuff, and it was an honor for me to say yes to your project and to see how far it's grown and everything. It's really amazing, and to be a part of it and to help others heal from all our relationships. So I am Marisa Rico. I'm a published author with a book called Journey to Success with Marisa and Aaron Rico. I am a mother of 5. I have 1 stepdaughter and I have 4 boys. I have 4 grandchildren, 2 granddaughters and 2 grandsons. I was in a toxic relationship for about 10 and a half years. And I was really young when I got into that relationship. I was probably, I would say about 15 years old when I got into that relationship. And, you know, as a teen, when you're that young and you get into a relationship, you don't really know, you don't know what to really deal with the relationship. You don't know how to deal with it. You know, we just think that we are all, it's just nothing but love. And for me, I was looking for love in the wrong places. And it took me a long time to heal. I deal with PTSD and anxiety. So I just really thank God for my husband now that I am currently with. It was through his patience and his kindness and his understanding that I was able to heal. And then not only that, but counseling and just trying to find my way back to who I was before that relationship, because being in that relationship, it had crushed me really bad. And I forgot who I was. I forgot where I came from. I forgot my heart. And, you know, being in a toxic relationship, you think that it's normal because you see everybody around you going through it. So I just thought that what I was going through was normal and that's how I was supposed to be. You know, him telling me everything that I wasn't, you know, had him taking advantage of me because of my age. And the sad part was that he was older than me, and my parents had allowed me to go with this person. And so, you know, it's something that you wish that didn't happen, and then it's something that you wish that your parents could have at least protected you a little bit more and said, hey, you know, I don't think you should. You're very young. You shouldn't be going with this guy. But it didn't happen. So um, I just really want to thank Anastasia for all that she does with Exposé. I was the first person to share my story with Anastasia. And from there, we both together got the ball rolling a little bit. I was able to help get a couple ladies from her, and Anastasia just took off. I remember she's reaching out to me and said she had gotten 25 people, and then it was like 50 people, and then it was like 100, and then 125, and then 150. I was like, oh my gosh. And then she was like, gotta stop.
I remember bringing in some of them. The bonds that we made 3 years ago when Anastasia reached out to all of us that are part of it and everything. I mean, we check in on each other just no matter what. I mean, you and I talk on Facebook every couple of months, just checking in. Don't you have the bike rally coming up soon too, Marisa?
I'm hoping, I have reached out to my family, and I'm hoping that they will have a third annual bike rally. And this bike rally is for two of my own nieces that I've lost due to domestic violence. And, you know, they're no longer here on this earth, and they were only in their 20s, very young. And the sad thing is they left children behind. And now these children are in different homes, separated. And it's sad to know that they were there. They witnessed what happened. And, you know, we have to continue to fight for them. Justice has not been served for them. So we do this bike rally to help raise money. We're trying to get the Navajo Nation president involved in helping, because it did happen on the reservation. So we're trying to change some of the laws on the reservation. You know, we do have our own court system, but it's not as strong as the state. If you get caught on the reservation for DUI, the Navajo Nation does not have the right to take away your state ID, your state driver license. So it's really a problem here on the Navajo reservation. We have, how would you say, we have problems with alcoholics and drugs because the Navajo reservation is very limited in what we can do. And when it comes to murder, we really don't have the power to sentence anybody. It's just basically a slap in the wrist, and it's a really bad growing problem right now because we have so many missing and murdered in our own community, and the numbers are going up about 150 right now, and every day it's like girls, young boys, they're just going missing, and a lot of times it's due to domestic violence, and partners won't say where their partners are, our loved ones. You know, it's just a problem for us. So we are really hoping that we can get the bike rally to make some noise and, you know, to really bring up that awareness.
And I love you for all that. And it's funny, and it's not funny, but it's true, that grooming, in a sense, even goes to what you were saying by our children witnessing the abuse. That's grooming in itself, by grooming our kids to think that it's okay, you know, without their partner, without an abusive partner even having to do anything, because when they see it and nothing happens, there is no justice, like you said, Marisa. That in itself is a form of grooming, which is what we're talking about today. So, Anastasia, let's just go over the 5 types of grooming,
Yes.
like the different forms of grooming, like you said, like let's name them and then we can break them down a little bit.
I love that. I just wanted to welcome a few more beautiful friends came. Nancy, Lorelei.
Lorelei.
Oh, Lorelei. Okay, I'm Polish. It's hard for me, all those sounds. Sorry. Christy. Welcome, Christy. Francine, Linda, and can you help me,
The
Crystal?
beautiful Divine.
Divine, right.
Yes,
Divine.
who actually is going to be doing a live with me in 2 weeks about energy work and refocusing. I'm so excited about that. So
Next week? No, you said in 2 weeks. Okay.
on the 14th.
14th. Yeah, looking forward. Thank you all for being here because of that's how we change the next generations by becoming more aware and really energetically breaking all those chains. I feel like when we talk about it, we are transmuting that abuse into power and story sharing, and that really is how, in my perspective, healing happens. So, bringing back to 5 stages of grooming, the first one is targeting the victim. And Marisa mentioned a few factors. She was young, like she was 15 years old, and many of us can relate. I can relate that I also was very young. I was 18, and another factor is being lonely, like being in a foreign country. Like I was living in Spain. I just moved. I was 19, and I was looking for some friends, connections. That's what you do when you move to a new place, and I so that's another factor. And then another one is low self-esteem, which, you know, anyone who have been exposed to some abandonment, like me, I lost dad when I was 2 years. He took his life, and somewhere I told myself I wasn't good enough reason for my dad to leave. So that was there, I didn't feel enough within myself. And so those are the possible factors which can make us being vulnerable. If the groomer comes, they can see, oh, this person seems like they're easy to manipulate because they never say no. Like, it's really hard to manipulate somebody who has strong boundaries. And I would like
they prey on the people pleasers, basically. The ones that need the attention, they want to fit in because they middle child syndrome, things like that.
So, Crystal, do you want to open the mic for the audience with this stage, or should I continue for more stages?
That's up to you. I mean, I know Cherry's. I know part of Cherry's story. I know quite a few people who can understand and relate when it comes to this whole thing. If you want to bring Cherry up and continue, go ahead. I can't do it. You are the only one that can actually bring somebody on stage. But when it comes to grooming, you're right. A lot of times the narcissists, the toxic people, they study their victims to figure out who's got the Marcia syndrome. For those of you that remember the Brady Bunch, those of us that have low self-esteem, or are just got out of a bad relationship, that are craving that love and attention, they will zone in on us and then they will love bomb the hell out of you and lift you up, only to systematically start breaking you down once you're enthralled. So
Thank you for adding that. Cheryl, you're on the stage if you would like to speak.
Aloha, thank you.
Aloha.
Nastasia, Marisa, and Crystal for having me in this space and forgive me if I cry, because this is a relief to be in this room. I will make my story short and respectful for everyone's time. I am a domestic violence survivor. I was married for young, and I was married for 22 years, and I'm 1 year divorced out of the violence. So my story is, I was born and raised in the Philippines, and I found out at age 13 that my older sister was sex trafficked from the Philippines to Hawaii, and I'm also, my father's in the military. He is, we moved to Hawaii with his family, and we were searching for my sister. And then 5 years later, when I was 18 years old, so my family is from Lahaina in Maui, and I met a gentleman who was my ex-husband. He was 12 years older, and he was in the military, and I thought he was going to be my knight in shining armor. I thought I was going to live happily ever after, have children, grow old with him. And he was abusive from the beginning. We went and moved to the States, to Washington State, where I live currently. And he definitely, now that I know what I know, he definitely groomed me, because he told me he wanted to help find my sister. And I'm sorry,
It's okay, sweetheart. Just take a breath.
Okay.
We're here. That's what these rooms are for. You know that. You've known me long enough. Just
Yes.
Take a deep breath, sweetheart. We're here. We support you. Okay.
And you are so brave. You are so brave. I just want to say it. You are so brave for speaking and sharing. So thank you. Thank you for that, because that takes so much courage. I want to frame your courage here and celebrate that.
Thank you. What I did not know is my domestic violence was sexual violence. So I had never, my ex-husband was my first boyfriend, only boyfriend, only man I was ever with. So I didn't know that sexual violence is domestic violence until I left a year ago, and I'm a survivor now, and I just wanted to tell Marisa that I'm so proud of you. I'm Indigenous Native Hawaiian as well, and I stand in solidarity and support with you. And if there's anything I could do to help each and every one of you all on the stage or in the listening lounge, I have learned that the most important thing, actually, this is from divine, that I not only need to love myself, but I have to forgive myself. And thank you.
Thank you so much.
That is so awesome, Terry. And it really touches my heart. And I know what you're going through when it comes to missing. I've also had a sister that was missing, and it eats at you. So I pray and hope that, I don't know if you found your sister, but I hope and pray that you will one day will find her and you'll be able to reunite with her. So hugs and prayers. And I want you to at least try to find your strength. And I know it's going to be tough, especially with the PTSD and the anxiety. I still go through those panic attacks. Whatever you have to do, just speak about it, talk about it, release the pain. And I find that every time I speak, every time I share, it's what helps me heal. And when I share, I just hope that somebody that's going through it out there, it'll touch them. And I hope that we'll be able to save somebody. So thank you.
And I'm giving you big hugs as well, Marisa. And that's why Anastasia, started Exposé, and why it's became so important to all of us that were part of it to, support it and get it get the viewers up on our YouTube channel so that we can spread our message. We can stop the victim shaming and change the narrative when it comes to domestic violence, period. That's why we're doing these rooms, so that people have this safe space. And so much love to both of you for sharing and being brave and coming up here. I know you guys are probably tired of me talking because, well, it's all I ever do is gab.
Thank you, Crystal, for being the entertaining part of the whole event and just connecting all of us together. Cheryl, thank you so much for sharing your story and making this strong point that sexual violence is also domestic violence. It's part of it. And so many women and men are still don't know that. And you know, it really breaks my heart because I've been through sexual violence and rape actually in that relationship when I was so young and naive. And that brings me to the stage number 2. I just wanted to share it before I bring Nancy to the stage as well. The stage number 2 is gaining trust and control. So this is the moment when the groomer begins to establish a bond by asking personal questions, showing empathy, giving gifts. And this stage is all about building a false sense of safety, security. So this stage comes right after the abuser found somebody who might look vulnerable. They might be just left some abusive relationship, or they are new in a country, or they're young, and here they are coming with, hey, how can I help you? What do you need? I'm your best friend. And it feels like it's too good to be true. And I'm curious about what Nancy would like to share, or any of you.
Well, I was going to say, Brian was on stage first, though.
Yes. Thank you for bringing that, because my ADHD brain is like, what's new? Okay.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Crystal, for the invitation to this space today. Well, my heart goes out to all of you as you are dealing with or have dealt with pain that has come from previous relationships. Now, for me, I've never been in a romantic relationship. I've wanted one, but I haven't been in one. What I will say is that the first lady I can recall admitting feelings for almost 10 years ago, I will say that the friendship with her and the family I thought was good, but turned out to be toxic. And so I was essentially made to believe certain things that I shouldn't have been made to believe. Like, I thought I could get away with a lot of different things. And my toxicity with them led to occasional other unrelated incidents of sorts at the church I went to before COVID, one of the churches anyway. And so I never faced any serious trouble, but there were things that had to be addressed as it related to boundaries, particularly with women. I will say that just recently, and I mean recently within the last 2 weeks, I admitted to feelings for somebody, but there was no evidence of it on their social media, and they have a boyfriend, and so these are kind of hard things for me sometimes. When depending on when I find out that somebody that I might be interested in has a boyfriend, it's these conflict things can sometimes make me look bad, because I cope by typing out a bunch of things in my Instagram stories. I cope by saying things to a lot of people, and sometimes essentially lashing out. And so, like, I do try to be careful, because I don't want to be the abuser. But also, that's part of why I talk so much, or why I mention all the time that I am on the autism spectrum, because I do have behaviors that are abnormal from neurotypicals. Not to get away with everything, but to say that that some things may be out of norm, and that I may need a different coping mechanism, or a different a different kind of discipline, I guess, if you will, in order to really learn and grow from it. Because all I want to do is share love with women, and even if it's not romantic, I'm still going to share love with you as a friend. So you can always count on me for that. It's not an everything or nothing situation with me. I don't treat it like The Bachelor or Bachelorette, where if it's not romantic, then you have to completely part ways. I don't believe in doing that. So, and yes, I mean, it's an unfortunate reality that sometimes somebody that might not be available now becomes available because of something like this. But I hope that one day that we can all just love one another as we should. And I'll keep advocating for that, along with my autism advocacy. So yeah, that's what I want to say. And a lot of these vulnerable conversations I have on social audio, I usually don't have with my parents. Like, I mean, yes, I put things out publicly, but my parents don't read a lot of the stuff. The only place I have to be careful with that is Facebook, basically. So, because my mom uses that. But otherwise, yeah, I usually go to other people, because I know my parents' tendencies and how they steer conversations, and it's not going to help me with dealing with it. It's only going to make me feel worse. So, yeah, that's what's on my heart right now as I share this. So, thank you, and peace, love, and blessings to you all.
Go ahead, Dana.
Go ahead. That's what I was thinking.
I just wanted to say thank you, Brian, for always sharing your heart. And it's true, people, you speaking out about being on the spectrum and giving awareness, it's exactly like you said. You tend to react to certain situations in different ways, and by making people aware of that, it's exactly that, so that people don't take your reactions in a negative way and are trying to be more understanding. And spreading awareness, period, is what's important. And I love your heart. I really am looking forward to speaking with you more. And you're just an amazing person, and I'm sorry that that relationship was turned toxic on you, and I'm proud of you for recognizing it and being able to, you know, distance yourself, because that is, it's right on topic with grooming, because they were toxic. They were trying to groom you into a certain way, and the fact that you were able to recognize it is a very good thing, especially because you recognized it soon enough. So big hugs to you, Brian. Very proud of you, and keep spreading your light and love, because it's all we can do. You know, hopefully these conversations one day won't be needed, because exactly that, the world will become, you know, a more peaceful, loving place.
Yes. And I also want to celebrate you for setting up that boundary, that this is where I'm sharing my story, that's where I feel safe. And, you know, I'm not allowing my parents to see that content. This is a great way to protect yourself. And I want to, you know, celebrate you for doing that. And thank you so much for sharing your story. Meanwhile, we have also um, Nancy and Divine, which I love the name as well, how it sounds. And we have new people, beautiful friends in the audience. I want to welcome and Annie, Festus, Damian, Francie, and Chim, and Shara as well. Thank you all for coming and helping us to create more impact with those messages of grooming. We are on the stage number 3, fulfilling a need. Let me just shortly share before I give you mics. So this stage number 3, it's 3. It's the groomer starts fulfilling the victim needs, whatever emotional, financial, and this stage depends the dependency, as the victim starts relying on the groomer for the support. So Marisa mentioned in the interview how she couldn't really leave the relationship because of the finances, and many women relate to that um, that could be one of the needs that stops us from leaving, and another one, it could be emotional support, just getting the validation we may be needed. But I will stop talking because we have so many beautiful people on the stage. So next on the stage is Nancy.
Hello, my dears. Brian, that was very brave, very, very brave, and heartfelt and honest. That's very vulnerable, but you're safe here. Um, I I left an abusive relationship 30 years. It wasn't always, but I mean, I was manipulated. And so I finally left. And you know, I was in my Audi, I packed all my stuff, and I was driving to Portland, Oregon from Seattle. I now live in Denver. And I called a domestic violence hotline. It was about midnight. I was alone in this hotel room, and I wasn't going to self harm. I would never do that. I value life too much. I'm spiritual, and I wouldn't do that. But as I'm talking to her, she said, "I'm really busy." And she said, "Do you need shelter? I can find a shelter in Portland." And I said, "No, I'm just." So I said, "Listen, dear, get off the phone. Take care of those moms sleeping in their cars, you know, financially strapped. I am the least of your concerns." Um, it's brave to leave an abusive relationship. And I have friends and family who are tied financially. They can't do what I did. So I give them support where I can give them support, and I just want everybody to know there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you.
Thank you for that beautiful share, Nancy. We've talked before, and you know, if you ever need someone to talk to, all you got to do is send a message. So thank you, honey.
I totally understand where you're coming from too, Nancy. And a lot of times we do stay for the wrong reasons. We feel like, there's no way out. And, my partner, he was the partner that I was with. He was older than me, he was able to work. And so I became dependent on him, especially after I got pregnant. But then the tables had turned towards the end of the relationship where, because I stood my ground and I didn't want to be that punching back. I start fighting back, you know, and I was the one holding up two jobs. I was a supervisor at a restaurant, and then I was an overnight audit at a hotel. So, and when he felt like he couldn't go to work and that I was the one bringing in the money, he hung on to me. And every time I got a paycheck, it was like his hand was sticking out. And because of this, I became an alcoholic with him because I didn't know what to do. I became stuck. So, being in a financial relationship, it's really hard. And then one of the things that he kept telling me was that I wasn't making enough money, and that him and his parents would take my son. And that was only one of the other reasons why I stayed, was because of those lies, and I believed them.
The fear of grooming. I actually had a client this morning reach out through the support line on Breaking the Silence, who was desperate for relocation resources in her area. But the one hitch is that she has an infant and was very scared to make a report to the police because her abuser put it in her head that if she involved the cops, they would put a hit out on her and essentially, get her killed. So she was terrified of involving the police, and that was, it's fear grooming. He got in her head that she could never escape because of her baby. So I understand completely, like, all of that kind of grooming, they get in your head, especially when children are involved. That's why I stayed for as long as I did as well. Fear, especially involving our children, is one of the hardest things to overcome when it comes to domestic abuse. And that particular grooming of, I'll make you lose your children, I'll make you lose the most precious person in your world if you leave, is the most crippling fear that any abuser who grooms you can give.
Yeah, and then the other thing is, I'll kill myself if you leave.
Oh, that's a deep one. That's a deep one. I will kill myself. I want to ask the audience, how many of you heard this statement? I will kill myself if you leave. If you can raise your hand.
Give a thumbs up, guys.
Oh, okay, thumbs up, because otherwise I will bring you all on the stage.
Yeah, exactly. Give a thumbs up if you heard that one. I know I did. Even after I left with the emotional abuse. Oh, you're the only one I have left. If you don't talk to me, if you don't help me, I'm gonna kill myself. Yep, that's a constant when they play at your heartstrings, because somewhere deep down you still do care about them. You had a life with them.
So that's actually, that statement described the stage number 5. But before the stage number 5, which is maintaining control, so they use the threat, guilt, any way to just get you back, because it's all about control. They lost you, you are gone. They are trying to create a fake account on Facebook, or any way to get you back. But let me just mention shortly the stage 4, the one before, and we'll bring Divine. The mic will be yours in just 20 seconds. So, stage 4, isolating the victim. That's when the abuse starts. So, if you can imagine that the only way to make sure that the abuser or groomer can do what they plan to do from the very beginning they met you, and they have been doing it with many people for so long, and you are just one of those of few people, that if they can isolate you from your friends, family, anybody who has your interest, then that's a win for them. So I know that you, Crystal, mentioned in the interview that he was mad. That's what you said. I remember. He was so mad when I was talking to my family. He moved me to Iowa, and that's really one of the ways when we are so vulnerable. Like, we don't have support. We have nothing to discuss. We are not sure really if this is abuse. It feels familiar. So that's when is the moment when many times we stay, and it gets harder and harder to live because the trauma bond and all the cycles. Um, I would like to just give a shout out to all the people listening. If you feel like you want to bring some message, raise your hand. Thank you all for listening. And Divine, the stage is yours. Beautiful.
Thank you, my love, and gratitude for everybody's shares. There has been so much that was shared that really touched my heart here in this space, guys. So thank you so much for having me. Crystal, my love, I see you as well. Gratitude, Sherry. Your shares are always so beautiful as well. And Brian, I can definitely relate to what you shared too about, attracting people who are already unavailable, right? And unavailable can come in so many different spectrums, that can be unavailable physically, unavailable emotionally, whatever, right? And what I had to do when I attracted that, I had to go within myself and say, well, how the hell am I unavailable? you know, and this recently happened to me about 4 years ago, the last time I was connecting with someone, and I was just coming out of a relationship and I was doing a lot of healing, and when I connected with this person, we had a beautiful connection. Now, this is the thing: relationships, we all have a relationship right now in this room because we're all relating to each other, right? We're all connecting with each other. So we can connect and relate to a multiple of people, but we also have choice in what we are devoted and committed to within ourselves, right? Within choosing a person or a partner, we have choice in committing to that, right? Both parties have to be willing to put in the effort and responsibility to commit, and some people do feel like they're trapped, whether that be a mental, whether that be a cycle, as
How to
Anastasia was
heal
talking,
after
right? That may
living
be a cycle of
grooming
programming within our
relationship.
mindset, within our consciousness that's telling us, oh no, we're trapped in this relationship. We can't be with anybody else. I don't know how I'm going to get out. I can't take care of myself. All of these thoughts, I call them thought forms, right? And we think about grooming, right? I thought about the word room because room is in that word. And I was like, room, what is about the room? Because I tap into things intuitively. And I heard the room in our minds, the rooms, that the compartments in our minds that we hold ourselves in, and we don't know how to lock and shut those doors, right? Break those cycles, break those chains, and just leave them there. And sometimes we can keep recycling our healing by revisiting those memories of the past, right? But when we understand that if we allow ourselves to look at every situation, person in our lives as a learning experience, right? What have I learned from this? And attracting emotionally unavailable people, I have learned that I did not understand how to connect to my own emotions and be vulnerable. We look at vulnerability as a weakness. Vulnerability is a superpower because we're able to dive deeper within ourselves and see what our needs are. How do we define love, right? Love can be defined in so many different ways. How can I give myself the love and the care and the necessary needs for me? So I know what that looks like and feels like when I do find a partner, when I attract a partner, I would say, right? Because I don't feel like we need to find anything. I feel like that we are all magnetic. Think about the times where you have miracles in your life. It just showed up. It just popped up, right? Like boom, right? We attracted that. You know what I'm saying? So, when we feel like we're in this wounded state, I would say the wounded warrior turns into a powerful warrior or a rebellious one. A lot of you guys in here are ready to rebel against everything that you have been taught or kept safe in the rooms of your mind, right? Ready to lock those compartments up and just say, you know what? This doesn't resonate with me and where I am today in the present moment. You know what I'm saying? So landing it here is that, be around people who also connect to you and what you have been through, but know that you are not what you've been through. Those stories are just empowerment, inspirational times where you can share with other people and we can navigate and collectively co regulate in our emotions. And it's not logic over emotion, right? So many people put logic over emotion, but emotional intelligence is emotion and logic combined, right? Merging the two. Why do I feel this way? Why do I keep attracting these type of people? It's because I need to go within me and navigate those emotions. When I tell you that when I attracted these people into my life, they were mirror reflections showing me what I needed to heal and what I needed to let go of, and saying that I wasn't deserving of that, right? We all have felt like, damn, we wasn't deserving of this, we wasn't deserving of that, our parenting, conditioning, all of these things. So allowing myself to reparent myself and saying, I do deserve that. I can allow that to come into my life, unapologetically. And we don't need to over explain to anybody how we truly feel about something. We just need to hold it within and attract that same energy and open it with open arms, right? So I love you all. I hope I didn't go too much beyond the topic here. I landed there.
No, that was amazing. And one thing that you said reminds me of a quote that I really love. Um, don't judge me by my past. I don't live there anymore. It really resonated because it's true. All of our stories, yeah, they're part of us, but we don't live there anymore. It's not who we are. Our scars don't define us. We are who we are, and we continuously grow and learn and change. And it's true. So big hugs, Divine. Can't wait to do that live with you.
That's awesome, and I like it. Thank you for sharing, Divine. And one of the things that comes into mind when it comes to isolation, um, when because of all the abuse that I was going through, I felt like I didn't want to go home. And when I was working at my restaurant, I used to stay longer than I needed. There was somebody that would call in and I would be asked, would you like to stay longer? And I stayed longer because I didn't want to face going home. And then it came to the point where he was sitting outside my job watching me, watching who I was talking to. And then as soon as I got home, it was like, who were you talking to? Why were you talking to? Did you give them your number? The isolation became, and it was like I had to build a wall around me and I couldn't look at anybody. Even if we drove down the road and there was a person walking by and I just happened to look, it was like, why are you looking at that person? And you become so isolated, and half the time you're scared to look at anybody and everybody. And I just thank God that I don't have to deal with that no more.
Wow. Can I respond really, really quick to Marissa, please? Marissa, you brought me back to when I was 15 years old when I found out I was pregnant, and my father raised me. And when my mother, okay, so my mother was very manipulative. And she was like, I'm going to tell your father that you're pregnant. And I thought we had this beautiful bonding relationship, right? I didn't think she was going to tell. I said, well, can you allow me to tell him? And she said, no, I'm going to tell him, right? That's seeking control. She wanted all the control, even over my own life, right? So when I found out that she was going to tell my father and he was on the way to the house to pick me up, I ran away. I ran away to the school playground and I hid there and I stayed there for about a few hours. And then a subcon like spirit, will call it spirit or my intuition told me, you cannot hide. You got to face this. And I said, oh shit, I got to face my dad. I got to let him know that I'm pregnant. I got to, hear all of this stuff from my father. And at that moment, I had to get out of that I was hiding. Like I said, in the school build, I was hiding at the school playground and I couldn't stay there forever, right? I was like, I have to face this. I was like, shit. So, excuse my French. So I had to go back and face that. And I had to face my father. And I had to let him know what was going on. And my mother was the one that told him first, but it doesn't matter. I still had to face it. As challenging, as painful as things may be for us, my loves, and I'm starting to get emotional because I can feel all of you too. As challenging, as painful as it may be, we have to face this, which gives us great courage and our own willpower to face whatever trauma, whatever abuse, whatever scarcity, whatever inner child wounds that may be coming up within ourselves, to face it, right? To face the diversity, whatever it may be, my love. So I felt you, Marissa, when you shared that. And thank you so much for being transparent. I definitely recognize that, and I'll land it there.
Yeah, thank you so much. And and just like you mentioned your father, mine was with my stepfather, and it just felt like he didn't really groom me, my partner. He groomed my parents, and my stepfather knew him a lot. So when he came into the picture, it was like I was allowed to go. And one of the things that my stepfather said to me before he passed um, was, if you ever have a baby, don't ever put it on your mom. And that was another thing that stayed with me, was that I didn't want to put anything on top of my mom, because she had my two little brothers, and my stepfather was the one that was very abusive in towards me. I was basically neglected. And because of this childhood, the trauma that I had gone through, I felt like I had to find somebody. And then when I ended up kind of like staying there and stuff. So it's with what you were saying, you get reminded of things like that. So I know where you're coming from.
May I respond to Marisa, Anastasia?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I'll make this short. So one of the things when I was 18 and I left Maui, a small island, close-knit community, was my ex-husband was American and he was the white man. I was the first to marry outside of the Filipino or the Hawaiian race. And I was told that I shouldn't do it. And so when I came to Washington State and my husband at the time was abusive, he reminded me, your family doesn't want you. So I went from huge close-knit community to being all by myself. And when I had my two daughters, that further perpetuated, that I was his property and he was like a king. But Marisa, I want to briefly share with you we did find my sister who was sex trafficked, and I just thank you so much for sharing your story.
I love happy endings. Yay. Well, thank you for adding this important, statement. I was his property. I wrote it down, and he was the king. And I think that either you're a woman or man, you can relate to that, because when it comes to abusive relationship, there is this control over your body, who you see, who you can't see, And as we are slowly landing, to be respectful to all the audience, and make sure that Rashida is going to also share her thoughts on grooming, I just want to acknowledge Raven. Thank you so much for joining the expose. And Joe, and there was one more person, Mike. Yes, thank you so much, Mike, for coming, and all of you who has been from the very beginning. Thank you all. And Rashida, how the message resonates with you?
Thank you so much, Anastasia and Crystal, for hosting this room, and everyone who has shared. I too have a past with abuse in various forms. Not only was it domestic in terms of watching my dad abuse my mother and my siblings, but as well for me, because I did not have a relationship of like husband wife domestic, but my father abused me in various ways. And to have him control every little aspect of my life, even into my mid 30s, mind you, of what are you wearing? Where are you going? You can't go anywhere but work and home. I couldn't even go fill the car with gas or go grocery shopping or anything. He had to be with me, policing every minute of my life. So you could imagine, in all the 5 stages you talked about, they are totally accurate. He preyed upon me because I was a daddy's little girl when I was a youngster, and used that to manipulate and get whatever the hell he wanted, good or bad, and just do everything for him and have the world feel sorry for him. And he tried to so-called protect me from everyone and make me fear everyone and everything. But in reality, the stark reality of the situation, he ironically was the one that hurt me the most. And if he was supposed to protect me and could not hurt me, what would the world do? So that set fears in me about everything, hence the anxiety, depression, suicide attempts, and so on. But you're absolutely right. Like, now looking back on it, I'm like, oh my God, why didn't I see it then? So I would hope that anybody who is going through this hell, that they can be aware of the signs, through your events like this, and get out while they can. I would pray for that, because a lot of people don't come out alive. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Rashinda. And it's like I had said before, I mean, grooming can start even in childhood, with the whole mental and everything. You were groomed by your dad, and in turn, luckily you see the signs, you've done the work to where that grooming is not affecting your romantic relationships going forward, because you know what to look for, thankfully, hopefully, and that's the whole thing. A lot of times when we grow up in a situation like that, we wind up dating somebody just like that, or becoming someone just like that. And it's a subconscious thing, and we have to do the work constantly to put ourselves in check, to make sure that we don't become what we hate the most. It's really easy to lash out, especially when you're groomed as a child like you were, and do exactly what was done to you to others. So thank you for your beautiful share and sharing your heart and being so vulnerable. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I'm going to hand the mic over back to Anastasia.
Thank you. Thank you, Crystal, for being the co-host, and all of you for the amazing contribution. My sister and friend Marisa, thank you so much for bringing such a raw message, and you have such a gift, and your voice, each time you speak, it just, you have power in your voice. So continue doing what you're doing, and I'll make sure I put a link and the email Marisa sent me for you guys, so you can get in touch with her, get a copy of her book. She wrote an amazing book. Thank you all, and I'm looking forward to the event with Divine in 2 weeks. Please, Crystal, also put
on the 14th.
Yeah.
It's going to be here on LinkedIn as well as on my YouTube channel. And also, guys, please subscribe to the Exposé channel, YouTube channel. I posted the link in the comments for this room, because our goal is to get over 1,000 subscribers, and then we will be releasing episode 1 of the Exposé documentary.
You read my mind, Crystal. Yes, please help us to reach the 1,000. And see you in the next 2 weeks. We are going to talk about red flags. Thank you all and have a good one wherever you are in the world. And thank you for all the love. Bye.
Thank you guys. Have a wonderful night. Goodbye.
Thank you so much, Anastasia and Crystal, for continuing to do the work here. You know, together we are making a difference. Together we want to spread the awareness of domestic violence, sexual assault, and whatever it takes. You know, there's people out there that are still going through it, and through our stories, I hope that we are able to at least save somebody. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening to Exposé podcast. Make sure to subscribe our YouTube channel, as this is the place where those 15 episodes of Exposé series are going to be released, and you are going to be the first one to be notified. Thank you and see you soon.